Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bronco Juggalo, and it is time again for Multi-Pack Mania. Now, I missed last week's due to everything going on with my family, and I know everybody's been behind me. I want to thank everybody for their support on that. It's been really cool, everybody reaching out, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all very much. Now, today is a double feature category. And I chose this double feature with The Curse of Frankenstein and Taste the Blood of Dracula. And the reason I chose this is I've been wanting to do more Hammer stuff lately, and I really haven't had a chance. So this gives me a chance. So guys, I'm going to play odds and evens. I'm going to use my 20-sided die here. If it lands on an odd number, I will choose The Curse of Frankenstein. If it lands on an even number, I will choose Taste the Blood of Dracula. Now this little symbol right here, this is the 20. The set symbol on a magic die is always the 20, with the exception of one die where it was the 10 because it was the 10 edition. So, yeah. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do. So let's see what we're going to watch. Alright, we have a... What is that? Oh, where is it? Let me see. 17. 17, so we're going to be going with The Curse of Frankenstein. Thought about flipping a coin, but I couldn't find one. Guys, I will be right back with the review of The Curse of Frankenstein. In the meantime, check out everybody else. Well, don't stop the video because I'm not really going that far away. It's going to be pretty instantaneous, if you know what I mean. But still, check out everybody else doing Multi-Pack Mania. And I know I missed last week, and I really wanted to do that category because I have a very cool box set that I'd like to do. It was unique box sets. So I may come back and do that one at a later date. I know everybody will not mind if I do that. I'll be right back. Alright guys, this is Bronco Juggalo, and I am back with my review for The Curse of Frankenstein from 1957 for Multi-Pack Mania. This week we did a double feature, and I am doing Curse of Frankenstein. Peter Cushing stars as Victor Frankenstein, Christopher Lee as the Creature, Robert Urquhart as Paul Krempe, directed by Terence Fisher. Now this retells the classic story of Frankenstein through flashbacks from Victor Frankenstein while he is on death row. This is the movie that put Hammer on the map. It was their first color feature. It was also the first pairing on film of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. This film spawned 6 sequels. It had a $270K budget and made $8 million in the box office. Now, this is considered the first gory film, as it was the first film that showed gore in color. It shows the body parts, it shows the blood, it shows severed limbs, it shows, eyes taken out. And it, even though, yes, Herschel Gordon Lewis is the father of gore, this film showed gore, period, in color, where it hadn't been ever done before. And of course, this is the beginning, as I said, of the franchise for Hammer Films. Now, guys, I have no cons for this movie. I want to start with the pros, because that's all I have. I want to start with the look of the Frankenstein monster. Now, Universal fought Hammer tooth and nail to keep them from copying the 31 film. Hence why the Frankenstein monster looks the way he does. Now, we all know the classic look of the Frankenstein monster came from the 1931 film, and it is a great look. But in this one, he looks a lot different. And if you ask me, he looks a lot more humane and a lot more grotesque. They chose Christopher Lee because of his size, but they actually had another person they wanted to play him first, but they went with Christopher Lee instead. Paul Krempe, a character in this film, is in the, he's in all of the movies for Frankenstein. It's funny that he goes along with this. He goes along with this, even up to and including the, I guess you could call it grave robbing or cutting down of the dead thief, the criminal. He goes along with all this, even though he's repulsed by it. And I think it's funny, and even later on during the film, when he's swearing he will not help him, he still helps him. he still helps him. He does fight him eventually, but he not only does he help him, when he says that he won't help anymore, he lets it go. He just keeps, he condones it, basically, even though he says he's against it. And it really shows this duality of something and this sounds really weird, something I read in a fortune cookie the other day. It said that most people will espouse what they believe, but never fight in it. And I found that just to be very profound when it came to this situation. He espoused how horrific it was for him. He tried to get Victor's wife to leave, or his soon-to-be wife. He tried to convince Victor to stop. But when Victor didn't stop, he didn't do anything about it. He just let it go on. Now, guys, I love the look of this film. I was in such a mood for this. When I picked this double feature, I was just like, man, I hadn't watched a movie in 2 weeks. With everything that's been going on, I haven't watched any movies. And I was like, do I want to watch, a modern horror film? Do I want to watch something, whatever? I was like, I want to watch something classic. I want to watch something classical. Something with a old school gothic feel and look. And I got that in The Curse of Frankenstein. I was very happy with it. I love the set designs. I love the color palettes. For being their first color film, it was so good. There is something now about film and the color in film. Everything, I guess because everything is so HD, it feels almost to where the colors don't pop the way they once did. If you go back and watch something like The Wizard of Oz, the colors in The Wizard of Oz, that Technicolor color, it just pops, and it's so beautiful to look at. And the same thing in this movie. The set design was great, the colors popped, the cinematography was on point. We get some great performances in this film. Great performances from the legendary Peter Cushing. Great bodily performance from the legendary Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee had no lines. He did but he had no lines. And he just shows how good he was with his physical performances. And that's why it went on to lead to so many pairings. That's why he went on to play the Mummy. That's why he would go on later to play Dracula, where he would be able to really expand upon his repertoire of his talents as far as speaking roles. I mean, Christopher Lee's been doing this since the 1920s silent films, or 1930s. I don't remember exactly when. He's an expert swordsman. That's why he was so good. He choreographed, I don't know if you knew this, but he choreographed all the sword fight scenes in the 2 Star Wars movies he was in. As I said, great performances. And something that brings out in Peter Cushing's performance, we get such a ruthless Victor Frankenstein. In the original 1931, we get a Victor Frankenstein who sees the error of his ways. He sees, that he messed up, and he feels bad about it. Now, I'm talking about the original. Of course, it goes on to have some sequels. But I'm talking about the original, and he confronts his creation, and he destroys it, so to speak. But in this one, we get a Victor Frankenstein who is so driven. He just wants to do this, no matter what the cost. He just didn't care. He even stoops to committing murder of his own, which is something that nobody thought he would do. Now, guys, I love the ending of this movie. Now, keep in mind, this movie spawned many sequels, and it spawns them with Victor Frankenstein as the lead. And in the 6 sequels, Peter Cushing plays him in every single one, except for one. And I'm not sure why he didn't play him in that one, but I'm sure I'll get to it eventually. But the ending of this movie has a definitive ending. It ends with, and this is a spoiler for those of you that haven't seen it, it ends with the guillotine coming down on Victor. But we don't get a close-up of it. We see it in silhouette at a distance. So it gives you, it lends to your thinking that Victor is dead. But, there is room, I guess, for some interpretation. What happened when that thing fell. And I'm sure they will expand upon that in the next film, and I'll see how it happened in Revenge of Dracula. And I can't wait to watch that as well. I'm going to have to pick up more of these Hammers, guys. Sean Urshan gave me the 4-pack of Draculas, and that was awesome of him. I really appreciate that. And he's always talking about the Hammer horror, and it made me really want to get into some of it, because I never really watched any Hammer horrors aside from some newer ones. I never watched the classic Hammer horrors, and I watched The Mummy, and I loved it. I watched the Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, and I loved it. I watched Satanic Rites of Dracula. I loved that. Even though it's considered the worst one of the films, I really did enjoy it. And I can't wait to watch more of these. But I do really want to watch them a little more in... You know, they're not movies that you have to watch in sequence all the time. But I do think that they should be honored and watched in sequence when you can. So, I'm going to try and get the rest of the franchise. Guys, I know I'm a little long-winded here. I hope you're all having a great day. I'm in a great fucking mood because I got the Bears-Dolphins game on right now, on mute, right in front of me, and that's fucking awesome. Football is back, and I'm stoked. Guys, check out everybody else doing Multi-Pack Mania. Give it up to my homies, Joe and Jason, for coming up with this idea, and to all the Slash Brothers for the presentation. This is Bronco Juggalo saying, peace.
Are afraid of me, many reasons they should be creatures, what they labeled me, leave them bleeding painfully. These bitches cannot compete, their knowledge